everyone. Welcome back inside Central Health Training Center for another episode of Broncos Now. As always, I'm your host, Sydney Jones. And coming up on today's episode, we'll hear from head coach Sean Payton, quarterback Russell Wilson, and safety Justin Simmons as they've turned the page and are looking ahead to the Green Bay Packers. All that and more coming up. The Denver Broncos were back at practice today as they look ahead to face the Green Bay Packers at Empower Field at Mile High this Sunday. And with the team looking to grab their first win at home this season, we heard from quarterback Russell Wilson and safety Justin Simmons as they both talked about how important it will be to get back on track.
We got to win at home. It's important for us to show our fans what we're capable of at home. We've had some games that I feel like we could have won them, in close games, close matchups at home. Those matter. Those mean something. To our team, to us as players and coaches, and also the fan base. So it'll be great to go against a good Packers team. They have some really good players on defense. They have some good players on offense. They do some really good things across the board. They coach well. So this is going to be a good challenge for us. And their fans travel well, but our fans are nice and loud at home, and it'll be huge for us to feel those fans throughout the whole game and how much they mean to us and how that really helps us catch that momentum and hopefully win these games.
I say it every week, it feels like, and it's frustrating, get up here and to say it every week. But, yeah, it's important. And not just saying that to say it. It's especially when you have a few losses and you just got to get back in the win column. And the next one's the most important one, which is Sunday against Green Bay, So, it's at home. And, I know it's been tough, but really want to give the fans a home win, and looking forward to doing that on Sunday.
Plus, head coach Sean Payton talked about what his message to Broncos country is.
Look, there's a fine line here between a groove and a rut. And, you take a look at, I'll give you an example. Detroit, a year ago was sitting, and I watched it as a media member covering. They had a handful of tough losses. They were 1-6. I know Dan well, and, you keep fighting. There's a grit element involved, some mental toughness that's involved. And then pretty soon, here they are at the end of the season. They win. They're eliminated before that game played, but they were in that contention. And then, here they are now as one of those teams. And so, we're kind of, in that position where it's, we're bowing up and we have to.
Plus, quarterback Russell Wilson talked about how important it will be for the offense to bounce back this week and how they had a great day of practice today.
We've done some really good things offensively. Didn't play our best game that last game, but I think that we've done some really good things, throughout the season, and I think we can do even better. That's the exciting part about it, about where we can go and what we can do. I think we had a great practice today, and guys are really tuned in, focused. The short little weekend where guys got to recover and get ready to rock and roll. I think that was good for us too. Guys were flying around offensively and defensively, special teams. So it was a good day today.
Head coach Sean Payton also talked about what he saw on offense versus the Chiefs last week and what he hopes to see from Russell Wilson at home this weekend.
I thought there were certain elements to the plan that I didn't like. We can correct that. But that being said, and I said it after the game, I was pleased with how we ran the ball, and yet we didn't throw it nearly well enough, and that wasn't just on him. And so it starts with me relative to, finding those throws for him, drive starters, for instance, first and 10 throws that are higher completion percentage throws. And those guys, are playing good defense, and that too, we knew going in, but I think that's real important. And look, it's a good question. It's something, even during this 4-day break, all right, what are the things now that can get us ahead of the chains early on?
And looking ahead at the Packers, quarterback Russell Wilson talked about what he's seen from their defense on tape.
They got a lot of great athletes in the secondary. Savage is tremendous. He can fly around. He plays down in the box. He plays deep. He can go sideline to sideline. They got obviously Douglas, and they got Jair too. They got some guys that can really, make a lot of plays in the secondary. I think also too, they're linebackers. They got some good athletic linebackers too as well. And then the defensive line, I think, is the part that really allows them to go and do the things that they can do. I think Clark's one of the best interior guys in the game. I mean, just this guy, I played him for a lot of years, and he's caused havoc a lot of times. He's just a really, really good special player. And then obviously Gray off the edge. He does some really good things. A young player, but he can, he causes havoc too. They got a lot of guys, up front. I mean, I could name them all, but just they do a lot of great things, and we're going to be on our P's and Q's and be on our A game.
Safety Justin Simmons also talked about Green Bay's offense and what he's seen from Packers quarterback Jordan Love.
I'm seeing a quarterback that's starting to come into his own, and man, he's really talented. He makes all the throws, short, long, intermediate. He takes what the defense gives him. At times he does really well with his checkdowns. Does a great job of reading the defense and then taking calculated shots when he needs to. Really poised. So, we got our work cut out for us. I think he's doing a really good job. They run the ball really well, with Aaron and A.J. Dillon. And so, we got to do a good job stopping the run and eliminating, their explosives. They do a really good job at that.
Now it's time to take a look at today's injury report. Tight end Greg Dulcich did not participate. Safety Justin Simmons and safety Kareem Jackson were limited. And outside linebacker Baron Browning, center Lloyd Cushenberry, and defensive tackle DJ Jones were all full participants. Now joining me here inside the Broncos podcast studio is a fellow team reporter, Phil Milani. Phil, pleasure to have you on the show today.
I missed you last week.
I know.
Yeah.
Short week. We had to cut our show.
Everything had to be flipped around and everything, so it's good to be back on our normal routine. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we did do a show last week. It was just on a different day.
No, I didn't do one last week, I don't think. I missed you.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. The Thursday nights, everybody.
I can't even remember what week it is.
Exactly. But now we're back. It's Wednesday.
We are back. Yep. Thursday nights, they do screw some things up, but everyone gets some time after the game to kind of reset.
Mini bye, yeah. We heard some of the guys talk about that today. Just a chance to clear their mind a little bit, hit the reset. And I think this is a good opportunity for the Broncos now. 2 home games and then the bye week coming up.
Yep.
Let's just sort of ignore everything else that's happened before and focus like a little 2-game season. I think that's a good way to sort of
little mini season within the season.
Exactly. 2 home games, focus on those 2 and then the bye and then see where you go from there.
Yeah. Well, Phil, a lot of guys today also talked about how important it will be to get a win at home within the next couple weeks here. Hopefully this Sunday versus the Packers. I mean, what would that mean, I guess, for this fan base, but also for the morale of the team?
Yeah, I think that, one of the goals for the Broncos as an organization is to create a fun game day, for the fan base. And, you've seen them put in a lot of money into Empower Field at Mile High. The scoreboard is huge. It's awesome. And part of that fun is experiencing a Broncos win, I think. So I think it is big to win at home. When you think about really good teams around the league, they defend home field.
Oh, yeah.
And especially with the Broncos, all the good Broncos teams, in the past were so good at home. And, you're playing with the elevation. The fan base is really into it. Yeah. It's rocking. People are pounding their feet, it's a fun
Rocky Mountain Thunder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that it's big to try and win at home. And, we're not used to seeing the Broncos lose at home like this. So it's been, they've lost the first 3 games at home here.
Yep.
I think that the Broncos have never started 0-4 at home.
Well,
Ever. So, this is a big one. The Chiefs coming up after that, another big one. Then it's the bye week, and then you go on the road. So, to just give this Broncos fan base a home win, I think is going to be important.
Yeah. It's crazy how soon we're playing the Chiefs again. Really, back to back
2 and 3 weeks.
there.
Yeah, exactly. It is going to create sort of an interesting vibe, just looking at the tape, how much you study the matchup you guys played against each other, will help dictate a lot. So it was interesting. You saw the Chiefs do a lot of different, kind of weird things, like the hook and ladder. They tried to fake a field goal, they were doing a lot of different things. You just wonder how much they knew that you're playing the same Broncos team again in a couple weeks.
Right. Yeah. Well, Phil, I know this offense is going to look to bounce back following that Thursday night game. Of course,
Yeah.
it wasn't their best performance so far this season. And, it was interesting to hear Russell Wilson talk about how, after each game, something that he learned as a rookie is that he sits down, he looks at everything he did well. He looks at everything he didn't do well, like some of the things that he needs to improve on. And, he even said that he's his hardest critic. So
yeah, and then you've got to forget about it.
Yeah.
That's what he sort of
Oh,
said.
yeah, exactly.
So I do think it's important to write down what you do well,
Mm-hmm.
because so much of the feedback after a game is like what you didn't do well. It's
That's
like,
true.
okay,
Yeah.
well, let's pick out a few things that I did well, and then also, obviously, you got to learn and try and get better at the things you're not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Russ has been having a great season. I think that the effort that he put in the offseason has really showed. It's
Definitely.
paying dividends here, but obviously Thursday night was not his best performance.
Mm-hmm.
2 interceptions. One Nick Bolton makes a great play at linebacker there. The other one gets batted up. So got to be a little more careful with the football. And then also, I think there's been a lot of talk this week about just about getting your wide receivers involved, especially a guy like Jerry Jeudy earlier in the game. Sean Payton talked about like drive starters, just like sort of kickstarting a guy's day, getting the ball early, keep him involved. And then, with Jerry Jeudy, Russell Wilson was saying, look, anytime he gets the ball, he could take it to the end zone.
Yeah.
And I think Jerry's just a little bit frustrated right now, just with how the season started and, still doesn't have a touchdown. And, you feel like with the talent he has, the production should match that, and it hasn't done that so far.
Right.
So we know how good Jerry Jeudy can be. How does this Broncos offense, how do they get that out of him? I think that's the big task here moving forward. And, look, Cortland's had a good start to the season. He's got a couple of touchdowns. That touchdown that he had against the Chiefs, that was an amazing catch.
It was.
Mims, we've seen, I think that his yards per catch is second in the NFL.
Yeah.
So his deep ball potential is a major threat. And, I think that his role is going to continue to grow. So, that those two guys are going to be getting the ball. So Jerry's got to sort of figure his area out. And then hopefully if everybody's playing like that, then the offense will be playing better.
Yeah, definitely need to get going in a passing game. But I know Russ also talked about the fact that, they need to lean more on the run game. Of course, when you have Javonte Williams,
Yeah,
Jaleel McLaughlin,
well.
Samaje Perine, to get them the ball more.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're running the ball, things tend to be going well for your offense.
Yeah.
And even Mike McGlinchey was talking about that in the locker room, is that in order to run the ball, it takes the entire team, not just the offense. The defense has to be playing well where, they're providing opportunities for the Broncos offense to be out on the field. The offense obviously has to be executing and, converting first downs and getting into a rhythm. They can't fall behind, so I think that everybody's got to sort of be playing a role in order for this Broncos offense to be able to run the ball more.
Well, one guy we haven't seen a ton of this season is tight end Greg Dulcich, of course.
Yeah.
He re-aggravated his hamstring injury versus the Chiefs, and I know head coach Sean Payton said they're kind of evaluating what that looks like. They have been the past 48 hours, and if they need to, they'll put him on IR, but haven't really decided
Yeah.
there. Tough go for him.
Oh, my gosh. I think that, talking to him at the end of last year, going into the offseason, he was like, I don't know what happened with my hamstring this year.
Yeah.
I've never had any hamstring issues in the past. I just got to really focus on this and make sure that I take care of my body. And then that way this isn't a problem next year. Boom. Fast forward to this year, and it's the exact same issue, with his hamstrings here. So
One of those injuries, though, that
yeah, exactly. And it doesn't matter how talented you are or how much you can do on the football field if you're not available to be on the football field. So you do feel for him, but also for this Broncos offense, because I do think that he was going to play a big part of what they were going to try and do this year. So,
I think so, too.
His speed at the tight end position with his size, I think that he's a big time weapon, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
for him to not be out there is really a difficult blow for this offense. And for him personally, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to be able to, the hamstring is just such an interesting thing to me, because I'm like, okay, are you staying hydrated? Are you, doing the proper warm-ups? Are you trying to,
Right.
and obviously
Stretches.
he's doing those things, but it's just leading to the same injury. So, whatever it is, I know that he's frustrated. I know the Broncos are frustrated by it, and you just hope that somehow it can correct itself.
Yeah. Well, Phil, looking at the Broncos defense, we heard from Justin Simmons earlier in the show. Great to see him back last week versus the Chiefs. I mean, they really stepped up. They bounced back from, their first couple of performances this season. Was specifically really good in the red zone. What'd you like about what they were able to do?
4 interceptions for Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
That's the most by any defensive player against Patrick Mahomes. So.
Wow.
For whatever reason, he's able to take the ball away there. I mean, they played their best game of the season, no doubt about it. They were able to stop the run. They played well against Patrick Mahomes, held that offense to just 19 points. I thought that they played a pretty solid game. Now, I don't know, just the way the game flow was going, it did sort of feel like just more of a low-scoring game. Maybe there was a Thursday night aspect to that too. Yeah. But the defense played well. They played with passion. They were flying around to the ball. The linebackers were playing really well.
They were.
So
good communication.
Good communication. So I think that if they could just take those things, use it as a building block, and sort of continue on that road. I know Justin Simmons talked about hey, this is sort of the standard that the Broncos want to play with. Right. And, the 70-point game against Miami, that's going to sort of throw all the statistics into
out
sort
of
a whack.
Yeah.
So if you look up the statistics, the Broncos are last in points per game, yards allowed. So all the normal things you would look at to see how a defense is playing, those are sort of out the window this entire season for them. So I think for them, just being able to play with that communication, play with that passion, play with that heart. You saw that out there. And so hopefully for the defense, that was just sort of a get-right game, and now they can kind of continue that moving forward. And look, Jordan Love is going to present some issues, but he's had a tough go the last 3 games for him. Started the season well, but the last 3 games in particular, I think 3 turnovers the last game. So maybe there's going to be an opportunity for this Broncos offense to try and get some pressure on him, create some turnovers, maybe force them into some mistakes. This Packers team is the youngest team in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
So they got a lot of young guys out there. Aaron Jones, our running back, has missed some time with a hamstring injury. So, maybe there's some opportunities here against this Packers team they're trying to figure it out a little bit here on offense too. So maybe there's an opportunity to do something this week.
Yeah, depending on Aaron Jones' status, of course, him and A.J. Dillon. Yeah. I mean, tough duo there. This defense is really going to have to pick up on stopping the run.
Yeah, exactly. Stopping the run is going to be a big deal, especially for this Packers team because of how young they are. They got a lot of young tight ends, a lot of young wide receivers, first-year starter in Jordan Love. So they're going to rely on the run, so the Broncos are going to have to make that a priority. But like I mentioned, with Aaron Jones being injured, their rushing yards per game, I think it's under 90 per game.
Wow.
So that is something that the Packers are trying to prioritize, but because of injuries and stuff, David Bakhtiari's out. Their tremendous left tackle.
Yep.
Went to CU.
Nice little brag there.
Yeah, exactly. He's been out, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. So they've been dealing with some stuff up in Green Bay too. And look, I think Broncos fans know how difficult it is when a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you move on from him.
Oh, yeah.
Similar thing here with Payton Manning, retires. You got to move on. You got to find an answer there. Packers fans did not have to go through that after Brett Favre.
That's
now, you're saying, okay, hey, what do we have here with Jordan Love? And they're sort of going to have to figure this thing out as they move forward. So. Yeah.
Well, team will head back to practice tomorrow as they continue to prepare for this Sunday game. Phil, appreciate you joining the show today.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure, Sid.
Always a pleasure. Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Broncos Now, Broncos Country. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll meet you right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube tomorrow for another episode. I'll see you all then.